But the calories you eat do different things for your body, so no. Correct. Um, yeah, that's essentially what it boils down to. So, um, we're going to go over an article in Healthline, 6 reasons why a calorie is not a calorie. Um, mm, mm, mm. So it's true that all calories have the same amount of energy. One dietary calorie contains 4.1 thousand joules of energy, and in that respect, a calorie is a calorie. But when it comes to your body, things are not that simple. The human body is a highly complex biomechanical system with elaborate processes that regulate energy balance. So essentially your metabolism. Different foods go through different biochemical pathways, some of which are inefficient and cause energy, calories, to be lost as heat. Even more important is the fact that different foods and macronutrients have a major effect on the hormones and brain centers that control hunger and eating behavior. The foods you eat can have a huge impact on the biological processes that control when, what, and how much you eat. So the following are 6 ways in which a calorie is not just a calorie. So does anybody know the difference between fructose and glucose? What's up, Aaron? If you do, throw it out there. Besides the fact that they're your body's 2 main simple sugars. So gram for gram, the 2 provide the same number of calories. But the way that they are metabolized in the body is completely different. Glucose can be metabolized by all your body's tissues, but fructose can only be metabolized by the liver in any significant amount. Fructose is a natural sugar. Yes, it is. Fructose is found in fruit. So it's still a natural sugar, but it's still a simple sugar. So it can spike your insulin levels. So here are some examples why glucose calories are not the same as fructose calories. I can't pronounce this word. That is your hunger hormone. It goes up when you're hungry and down after you've eaten. One study showed that fructose leads to higher ghrelin levels, that is more hunger than glucose. So this is saying that fructose will actually make you more hungry than glucose will. Fructose does not stimulate the satiety centers in the brain in the same way as glucose, leading to a reduced feeling of fullness. So if you were to overeat on fructose, well, it's easier to overeat on fructose because you won't get that feeling of being full. Consuming a lot of fructose can cause insulin resistance, abdominal fat gain, increased triglycerides, blood sugar, and small, dense LDL compared to the exact same number of calories from glucose. So this is saying that essentially you want to consume more glucose than you do fructose. So once again, judging nutrients based on the calories they provide is way too simplistic. So keep in mind that fructose only has negative effects when eaten in excessive amounts. Added sugar and candy are its largest dietary sources. So this is saying, don't not eat fruit. Just take it easy on the fruit. How do you know if the sugar that's in your food is glucose or fructose? Obviously, unless it's a fruit, then it's fructose. Um, that's a good question. I would say the majority of sugar in your food is glucose. I think fructose only comes from fruit. Yeah, fructose is only found in fruit and plants, and it can often be bonded to a glucose um, molecule. So to summarize what we just kind of talked about, even though fructose and glucose provide the same number of calories, fructose has far more negative effects on your hormones, appetite, and metabolic health. So stick to glucose if you can. So next we're going to talk about the thermic effect of food. Different foods go through different metabolic pathways. Some of these pathways are more efficient than others. The more efficient a metabolic pathway, the more of the food's energy is used for work and less is dissipated as heat. The metabolic pathways for proteins, for example, are less efficient than the metabolic pathways for carbs and fats. So because of that, it's going to take longer for your body to process, which is a good thing. So protein contains 4 calories per gram, but a large part of these protein calories are lost as heat when it's metabolized by the body, which is once again good. It's going to keep you feeling more full longer. The thermic effect of food is a measure of how much different foods increase energy expenditure. Due to the energy required to digest, absorb, and metabolize the nutrients. Yeah, so here's the thermic effect of different macronutrients. These are estimated numbers, but for fat, it's 2 to 3%, carbs, 6 to 8%, and for protein, it's 25 to 30%. So that's how many calories you're losing when you're just trying to digest these certain macronutrients. So, for example, if you go with a thermic effect of 25% for protein and 2% for fat, this would mean that 100 calories of protein would end up as only 75 calories, while 100 calories of fat would end up as 98 calories. Studies show that high protein diets boost metabolism by 80 to 100 calories per day compared to lower protein diets. Put simply, high protein diets have a metabolic advantage. So this is advocating for, what I kind of tell people, that as long as you stick to high protein, high fiber in the foods that you eat, you should be good. Because you're going to consume far less calories and you're still going to be full, which is essentially all you're looking for. So protein kills appetite and makes you eat fewer calories, like I just said. If you increase your protein intake, you start losing weight without counting calories. So if you were to, not even consciously diet and not exercise, but you just upped your protein intake, you would just naturally lose weight. This is saying protein puts fat loss on autopilot. In one study, people who increased their protein intake to 30% of calories automatically started eating 441 fewer calories per day and lost 11 pounds in 12 weeks. So that's something to think about. If you don't want to go on a diet but simply tip the metabolic scales in your favor, adding more protein to your diet may be the simplest and most delicious way to cause automatic fat loss. So next is the satiate, the satiate index. Can't say that word either for some reason. So being satiated just means being full. Different foods have different effects on being full. This means some foods will give you a greater feeling of fullness. It's also much easier to overeat on some foods than others, like carbohydrates. For example, it may be quite easy to eat 500 calories or more of ice cream, which we all know, while you'd have to force feed yourself to eat 500 calories of eggs or broccoli. Yeah, I agree. This is a key example of how the food choices you can make have a huge impact on the total calories you end up consuming. There are many factors that determine the satiety value of different foods, which is measured on a scale called the satiated index. The index is a measure of the ability of foods to reduce hunger, increase feelings of fullness, and reduce calorie intake for the next few hours. If you eat foods that are low on the index, then you will be hungrier and end up eating more. If you choose foods that are high in the index, you will end up eating less and losing weight. So this is kind of the opposite of the glycemic index that we will get to soon. Examples of foods that are high on the index are boiled potatoes, beef, eggs, beans, and fruits. Foods that are low on the index include donuts and cakes, obviously, all processed sugars. So to summarize that, different foods have different effects on how full you feel and how many calories you end up consuming in the following meals. This is measured in that index. So, why do people preach low-carb diets so much? So, based on the information that I just told you, why do you think low-carb's been, I wouldn't even say a trend, but a lot of people follow it? Since the year 2002, over 20 randomized controlled trials have compared low-carb and low-fat diets. The results consistently show that low-carb diets lead to more weight loss than low-fat diets, often 2 to 3 times as much. One of the main reasons for this is that low-carb diets lead to drastically reduced appetite, so you just naturally eat less calories. And people just start eating fewer calories. But even when calories are matched between groups, the low-carb groups usually lose more weight, though it doesn't always reach statistical significance. They're probably going to say why coming up, but that's usually due to water weight, hence carbohydrate. The biggest reason for this is probably that low-carb diets also cause significant water loss. Excess bloat tends to go away in the first week or two. Moreover, low-carb diets tend to include more protein than low-fat diets. Protein takes energy to metabolize, and the body expends energy turning protein into glucose. So once again, low-carb, high protein. Best way to lose weight. So next is the glycemic index. Has anybody heard of the glycemic index? So there are many controversies in the field of nutrition, and the experts don't agree on many things when it comes to this index that we're going to talk about. But one of the few things that almost everyone agrees on is that refined carbs are bad. This includes added sugars like sucrose and high fructose corn syrup, as well as refined grain products like white bread. So high fructose corn syrup can be found in tons of stuff. Um, Juices. And I remember back in the day when I thought, when you were drinking juice, it's good for you. And I often bring this up a lot too. Does everyone remember the Got Milk campaign? And how it was touted as like, milk was so good for you, having like Olympic athletes and everything with that milk mustache. Yeah, milk's not the best for you. It's filled with a lot of sugar, lactose. So honestly, if you're drinking, ideally, the only thing you should drink is water. That's all you need. So refined carbohydrates tend to be low in fiber and are digested and absorbed quickly, leading to rapid spikes in blood sugar, um, which can cause weight gain. When you eat food that spikes blood sugar fast, it tends to lead to a crash in blood sugar a few hours later. When that happens, you get cravings for another high-carb snack. One study served people milkshakes identical in every respect except that one had a high glycemic index and the other had a low glycemic index. The high GI milkshake caused increased hunger and cravings compared to the low. Another study found that teenage boys ate 81% more calories during a high GI meal compared to a low GI meal. So if you're on a high carb diet, it's crucial to choose whole, unprocessed carb sources that contain fiber. The fiber can reduce the rate at which the glucose enters your system. So, to summarize this whole article, different calorie sources can have vastly different effects on hunger, hormones, energy expenditure, and the brain regions that control food intake. Even though calories are important, counting them or even being consciously aware of them is not at all necessary to lose weight. In many cases, simple changes in food selection can lead to the same or better results than restricting your calorie intake. So, if you're trying to lose weight, you don't even have to try that hard. Just choose different food types. Stay away from carbohydrates. Um, Lean meats, chicken, fish, turkey, um, you know, and kind of stuff like that. Does anybody have any questions so far? So I thought this article was really good because it outlines exactly what you need to do in order to lose weight. There's all these fad diets out there, and that's what they are. It's a fad. People are looking for the next, um, like a magic pill that's going to make them lose weight without trying. It doesn't exist. And everybody's body is different too. Different things are going to work for different people. So if you're trying to lose weight and it's not happening, don't get fed up. Try different things. Mainly high protein, high fiber. So once again, does anybody have any questions before I move on? I thought I'd go over another article. I'll link this one if anybody else wants to check it out. So the next thing that I wanted to go over was how many calories should you eat per day to lose weight? So in contrast, we just talked about how a calorie, not all calories are created equal. So I haven't read this article yet, so I'd be interested to see what they have to say. This is a simple but highly accurate scientific calorie calculator, along with 5 evidence-based tips on how to sustainably reduce calorie intake. Um, yeah, it's just telling you to enter details and whatnot. So how many calories should you eat on average? Anybody know? What's up, Link? Welcome to my discussion. So does anybody know how many calories you should eat on average? Before I move on. What's the FDA on for the nutrition labels always recommends a specific amount. So that would be 2,000. An average woman needs to eat about 2,000 calories per day to maintain, and 1,500 calories to lose 1 pound of weight per week. An average man needs 2,500 calories to maintain, and 2,000 to lose 1 pound of weight per week. So now this is just the average person. There's many factors that are involved. So there's numerous factors that this depends on. These include age, height, current weight, activity levels, metabolic health, and many others. So how to reduce calorie intake without starving yourself. We just kind of went over that. You eat foods that are high in protein, high in fiber. So this is kind of going more over what we just talked about. Avoid sugary soft drinks and fruit juices. I hope everybody knows that. These products are likely the most fattening aspect of the modern diet, as your brain doesn't register liquid calories in the same way as solid calories. That's kind of a good takeaway there. You shouldn't drink your calories. So like I said last time, the only thing you need to drink is water, ideally. And maybe beer here and there. For this reason, drinking sugary soda doesn't make your brain automatically compensate by having you eat less of other things that you need. Studies have shown that sugary drinks are strongly linked to an increased risk of obesity, obviously, with one study in children showing a 60% increased risk for each daily serving of a sugar-sweetened beverage. Though small amounts of natural sugars from fruits like fruit are absolutely fine, large amounts from added sugar in sugary drinks can be an absolute disaster. And it's like literally killing you. There is absolutely no psychological need for these beverages, and the long-term benefits of avoiding them can be enormous. So another thing that I like to tell people is drinking more water can actually help you lose weight, in the simple fact that sometimes your brain mistakes hunger for thirst, and the more hydrated you are, the better you metabolize the foods that you eat. So by drinking more water, this can increase the number of calories you burn for up to 90 minutes. Drinking about 8 glasses of water per day can make you burn about 96 more calories. However, the timing of when you drink water may be even more important, as having it before meals can help reduce hunger and make you automatically eat fewer calories, like I just said. In one 12-week study, drinking 17 ounces of water half an hour before meals made people lose 44% more weight. That's kind of interesting. When combined with a healthy diet, drinking more water, especially before meals, appears to be helpful if you need to lose weight. Caffeinated beverages such as coffee and green tea are also excellent. Their caffeine content can somewhat boost metabolism in the short term. The next advice is to exercise and lift weights. Reduce carbohydrate intake, especially sugar. And the rest of it we kind of went over. So that is it. Anybody have any questions? Hopefully I didn't talk too fast. Let me link this too, for people that want to go over it again. I hope people found the first article pretty helpful, because a lot of people don't know kind of how simple it can be if you're trying to lose weight. I mean, maybe simple is not the right word, but it can be broken down pretty easily into kind of what you need to do. You just have to do it and stop sabotaging yourself. So once again, any questions? If not, I'm going to take off. Thanks everybody that was here. I wish my webcam didn't mess up for the first 10 minutes. And if you have any questions after this, you can always email me through my site, send me a message, anything like that. All right? Bye.